the Harlem Renaissance could have been the Chicago Renaissance
Right.
or the Detroit Renaissance, but it was the Harlem Renaissance because you had the 369 Regiment
Right.
that came out of Harlem fight in World War One in 1917. It's a learning tool.
Mm.
These gentlemen was the first African American regiment, so they saddle up and they fight with the French in World War One.
Right.
They never lose a battle. They fought 191 days on the front line, longer than any regiment. They're the first regiment to cross into Germany, and the Germans named them the Harlem Hellfighters.
Mm.
But the beauty about them going over to Europe, they took jazz music with them.
Right.
Because they were jazz musicians out of the Clef Club. And Europe got exposed to black culture and they fell in love with it.
Right.
And that's when the Harlem Renaissance kicked off.
Now I will never be your hater, I'm your biggest fan. I hope it falls into place just how you planned it. Life could put you in a pickle, just make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail, you see the link. The importance of the black veteran. We don't talk about stuff like this enough, in my opinion, and I'm sorry. But I'm gonna bring up some things about black veterans and people that was around the war that was important in our society. We like the woman was talking about the Harlem Hellfighters and how they brought jazz with them, right, to Europe, and that's probably the groundwork for a lot of black musicians going to Europe and being musicians, and being able to be musicians, right? Which even to this day, you see a lot of black artists who are loved more abroad than they are in this country. And you might have to go back to the veterans, People talk about the Tuskegee Airmen, being the heroes that they were. And shout out to Tally and Twine watches. I might want to have to buy that one. They actually, I just saw this. They have a Tuskegee Airman watch. It's like a silver watch with the red line down like a part of the side. It's dope. So shout out to Tally and Twine. It's a black-owned watch company. I actually have one. I wear it in some of the videos. I have a black watch. But the importance of the red tails, the Tuskegee Airmen. I also forget how, and if you ever watch Your World, My View, he talks about stuff like this. There's an old picture of some white soldiers putting up a flag. I want to say that's Japan. I want to say, but I'm not. I might be wrong. But you see the guys, there's some white guys, but actually it was some black guys who won that battle. But of course, America is racism, so they took those guys out of the picture and put the white guys in the picture, right? But that has to do with war. We don't think about the Korean War. Like my granddad was in the Korean War. My granddad was a vet, the Korean fried chicken actually comes from guys from America going to Korea in the Korean War and actually teaching them how to make fried chicken, basically. So that's where that comes from, right? So a lot of y'all don't realize that. So even though this country might be going to war with other countries, the black veteran does things that actually that brings value that are not war related. So also, even in America, the black veteran is important because thinking about the civil rights movement, the Deacons of Defense, the DOD, I think the bulk of those guys, the majority of those guys were veterans. So that was like the Black Panthers before the Black Panthers. They were the security that will watch the marches and the rallies, and they would be on post or whatever. So you could see people making it because people used to march and rally and whatnot. And of course, white folks in America would throw stuff at them, try to shoot at them, any kind of thing to intimidate the people, men, women, and children, right? So the Deacons of Defense took over, like, okay, come around here if you want to. And they don't get enough credit. Like part of the, we think about Rosa Parks, but prior to Rosa Parks, there was a black man that was a veteran who got lynched. You know, he got lynched doing sitting on a not wanting to sit on the back of the bus. That's the actually started those things. The bus boycotts. Rosa Parks, bus boycotts, so on and so forth. Because of course, America didn't respect the veterans. White America didn't respect veterans. Think about the movie Rosewood. Ving Rhames' character was a veteran. You get what I'm saying? It goes back to, even in film they have those things where it goes on. I remember Jonathan Major did the movie Dedication. I saw that. It was a cool movie. But we're gonna get into some other stuff. I said earlier my granddad was a veteran. Actually, both of them were. One was Korean War vet. The other was a merchant marine. Whatever. But and my uncle was in Vietnam. But and my other uncle, yeah, I ain't gonna get into that. But a lot of y'all don't realize, y'all great grandmothers, like my grandmother, which would be some of y'all's great grandmothers, the houses that y'all had, it was probably your great granddad's house. And 9 times out of 10, he was either working at the plant, a plant, whether it be steel mill, sugar mill, cars, or he was a veteran. And they did veterans dirty back in the day, so especially black veterans. So they didn't really get everything they deserved from the housing market. They got screwed by realtors and, this, that, and the third. So people would sign, would buy the house for them, and then they have to buy the house from that person to overcharge them. But, part of that was that they were veterans, So a lot of y'all don't realize a lot of the slum lords, like white people and quote unquote Jewish people, that's where they come from. That partially it comes from that. So black veterans were the guys 9 times out of 10. Well, I ain't gonna say 9 times out of 10. Let's just say 7 times out of 10 were the guys who were working to do all that stuff. We don't think about Joe Louis, the great boxer, technically he was a veteran, and he was in the army, and you remember they screwed him over, but they had him at war with the world with him and Max Schmeling. You get what I'm saying? When Max Schmeling beat him the first time, it was like America lost. When he beat Max Schmeling the second time, it was like America won the war, against Germany. They used Jesse Owens in a sense as a veteran. He wasn't a veteran, but they used him as a veteran. Muhammad Ali, in a sense, was not a veteran, but his stance on the war, he basically fought for veterans and people in Vietnam, because if you ever watched the movie with Will Smith playing Ali, there's a scene where some Vietnamese people are like, yo, thank you for what you did. And, I was like, yo, that's dope. And it reminded me of, I had a mechanic that was an Asian guy back in the day. And his name, he renamed people. His name was Ali Joe. I was like, Ali, I was like, wow, where does that come from? He's like, you know what? The Thriller in Manila. It's like, what? Yeah, my parents, Ali and Joe Frazier. And I was like, wow, that's dope. I would have never even thought about that at the time. I just thought it was, I didn't think to put that together. And so those acts helped relations, abroad for the most part. Of course, people got here and there's a whole nother story, but in general, talking about the black veteran, you got to think about all the things that these brothers have done to make our communities what they were, and our people what they were. Like a lot of the, if it ain't your grandfather, it's your great grandfather, or a lot of these guys went to the military to quote unquote help the family, and we don't speak about it enough. Some of y'all are really still living off of, I was about to say AARP, but it's not. Like some of y'all still got benefits from Navy Federal because of your grandfather or great grandfather. So, and y'all don't say nothing, but we know. You get what I'm saying? Y'all get certain benefits and privileges or whatever. And they got guys. I know I got a ton of friends that's veterans, you know, and how they benefit their families from being because they're veterans is phenomenal, you know, phenomenal. So those brothers don't get enough credit, and not to mention, excuse me, you know, I'm gonna stop with this. One of my favorite artists of all time is Marvin Gaye, and you wouldn't get what's going on if it wasn't for his brother who was a veteran, because he wrote that album because his brother was sending him letters about what was going on in the war, and it inspired him to write that album. So, you know, like, some of our best people who are inspired by people were inspired, you know, by people who were veterans. You get what I'm saying? So we got to give people more props. You know, thank y'all. And there's a whole lot more history that I didn't bring up because I'm trying to keep these videos at a certain time limit, but you know, they don't get enough shine. So my apologies for taking so long to even bring something like this up. I'm glad the lady said that. But tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.